Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. Today's video is going to be number 1 in drugstore week, and we're talking about all things base. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. Today we're kicking off my drugstore week. I thought it could be fun towards the end of the year to do a week long where I dedicate every single video I do to nothing but drugstore favorites. So that's what you're getting today. And today we're talking about base products, so foundations, concealers, and powders. In case you're new here, it may be good to know who I am, so let me introduce myself. My name is Maaike. I live in the Netherlands. I have fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone, and this greatly influences how I feel about makeup. I have been reviewing makeup for more than a decade. I love eyeshadow palettes, this is in Catrice, and getting the use out of my makeup. So if that's something you're interested in, then I hope you'd like to consider subscribing. So yes, today we are kicking off my drugstore series. I'm going to be doing 4 videos: base, cheeks, lips, and eyes, and I'm going to talk you through all of my favorite formulas in those given categories. So today we're doing base products, and that means mainly powder, concealer, and foundation. No primers and no setting sprays, even though I do consider those to be part of the base category. The reason why I'm not including them is because for primer, when it comes from the drugstore, the ones I usually like are by Essence and Catrice, and they discontinue their primers really quickly. So when I have found something that I like, very often by the time I sit down to film one of these videos, that particular product is no longer available. But if you do want my recommendation for a good primer at the drugstore, then I would look into what Essence and Catrice have to offer and find what suits your skin's needs, because they do a lot of things and they change up their line continuously. The one that I think has been most successful, that a lot of people also rave about, is that Essence one that looks a lot like the Glow Recipe watermelon drop. So that one was quite successful for me. I personally didn't like the scent, so that's why I never repurchased that, but it did work really well. And my favorite one ever was the Catrice Fresh It Up primer, but that was discontinued like 3 years ago, and they haven't brought anything similar out since. So that's why I'm not including any primers. Same thing with setting spray. I just don't try that many setting sprays. My current favorite is the one by ColourPop from the Pretty Fresh line. But again, here I usually just use whatever Essence and Catrice come out with in their different collections, and I rotate through them. Nothing sticks around long enough for me to be labeling something as a favorite. And I also think that both primer and setting sprays are things you don't necessarily need, because like primers you could leave out if you have a really good skincare routine, and a setting spray you don't really need if you also use a powder. So those things I feel really come down to your makeup preferences and what you want your makeup to do, and I don't feel they're necessary in everyone's makeup routine. I like using them, but I don't feel they're a must in anyone's makeup routine, which is why they're not part of this top 10 favorites. What is part of my top 10 favorites are my favorite powders, concealers, and also foundations. I only have currently one powder in my possession that I would deem a favorite when it comes to drugstore makeup. And you're gonna see a couple of brands popping up a lot in these videos because I tend to buy mainly drugstore products from Essence, Catrice, and Kiko. So those 3 brands I think are represented in every single video I do, because that's just what I have easiest access to. And some of the drugstore brands that people talk about, I either have trouble buying them, or they're just not that affordable over here, because our brands, like our makeup, is very much marked up. So things that you might think are affordable or drugstore over here would actually fall into more of a high-end category. Like the L'Oreal True Serum Foundation is 25 euros, which I no longer deem drugstore. For me, drugstore is anything below like 20 euros, I would say. That's to me, is still drugstore. The Essence Skin Loving Sensitive Mineral Powder, then. I've raved about this thing for years, ever since it came out, and they still do this. I thought that this was going to be like a one-hit wonder from them and that they were going to discontinue this super quickly, but then they didn't, which I was very happy with. So they still do this. However, because I was afraid they were going to discontinue it, I bought 3 of them in backup, because that's how much I love this powder. I've compared this in the past to the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish powder. I feel the texture is very similar. The only downside to the Essence is you can see it's a little bit yellowy, and it only comes in this one shade. However, if you do have sensitive skin, if you have dry skin, you know how powders can be incredibly difficult to find that don't make your makeup look super cakey. And I feel that this one is really beautiful. It's not so much a setting powder, I feel, but for me, it falls more in the category of a finishing powder. I only always use a very light hand. I like dab my brush and then just tap it onto my T-zone. And like any areas where I feel I need powder, I never like really set my makeup into place to begin with. But I am picky when it comes to powders, which is why there's only one here today. As I'm filming this video, I'm realizing I forgot to say something in my intro, but if you're looking for swatches, I have you there because you can just find the links in the description box because I have reviews up with a lot of these products, or they're gonna come very, very shortly over on the blog. So I'll make sure to link you to any sort of links I can link to because I don't find that swatches show you the true essence of a product. You also need to see how it sits on the skin and what it looks like in a full makeup look, and I have all of that content. I also have some concealers to talk about, and the concealer I need to tell you about is the Makeup Revolution Ultimate Radiant Concealer. I have mine in shade C3. I tried it only in October, but this was my only concealer all month. And I felt sad that because I just have so many concealers I haven't tried yet, that I had to roll in something else. So yeah, this one is just really lovely. I tried the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Concealer a month before that, and I feel this is a bang-on dupe for it. So this is a really lovely one, and that's why I think this is a good one, that if you're looking for a good concealer at the drugstore, this can be lovely. It comes in a heap ton of shades as well. Makeup Revolution is usually pretty good at that. Then for a corrector, you could look into the Catrice Under Eye Brightener. I believe this is now also out in the US. This is the pink version, but over here in Europe, they now also do this in a warmer undertone. So if you have a warm complexion, then maybe the yellow tone one could be better for you. I like this rosy peachy pink. It is pale enough for me to really make it work. And I have kept this over more high-end correctors that I already had. For instance, the Charlotte Tilbury one that has now been discontinued. It was never my favorite because the shade was a little bit off, and this works a lot better. So that's why this is another favorite. And I think the most long-standing drugstore concealer in terms of a favorite is the Essence Stay All Day Concealer. The 16-hour, but I think they've now reformulated this and it's now called the 14-hour. So I still have the old formula and I haven't tried that newer one yet, because I'm not entirely sure whether I'm gonna like it. But yeah, I buy this one, I use it up, you go through this really quickly, and then I repurchase it pretty much instantly. I think this is my third or fourth one, so you know it's my favorite. I have this in 20 Soft Beige. And this has always been the issue with this concealer. This only came in 2 shades. And that's why I feel really terrible recommending this. However, I believe now that they've reformulated it, it does come in more shades, but I still believe it's only like going up to 5 shades and it really is not that shade inclusive, but it works really well on my very dehydrated and dry skin. It never like gave me an allergic reaction. It sits really prettily on my under eye area. It works really well on the rest of my face. It's just a really good all-around concealer formula wise. And this one, I have to say, I'm not entirely sure whether this has a good shade range or not, but overall, Kiko is a little bit better than Essence and Catrice's, and this is their Skin Tone Concealer. I have mine in shade 2 because shade 1 is a green one, which I do say is really lovely. I think it can work really well. I've swatched it only in store though, but that seems to be making a light work of covering up any redness from what I've tried. This is a brand new one. I just did a full face of Kiko Milano the other day, so I did throw this one into my order so that I have it on hand. It's incredibly small though. It only comes with 3.5 milliliters. Yeah, so it's less than a standard concealer because most concealers are around the 5 milliliter mark. But I feel this works really well. It's really lovely, and it has a very strange applicator. It looks like a standard doe foot when you actually take it out of the tube, but then it actually has a roller. So the doe foot has a little mechanism in it so you can sort of roll it onto your face like a paint roller. It works really well actually, and I was afraid that it would jam at some point, but it never did on my first one. So I had to give this a repurchase because I do really like this concealer, and this way I could show it in this video too. And the other half of this like 10 favorite products from the drugstore is foundations, because I love foundations. Now, you could technically argue that my first product here isn't a foundation, it's more like a primer, but the Catrice Soft Glam Filter Fluid is a hit for a reason. This is a straight-on dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, and I think this is a better dupe than the e.l.f. Halo Glow. Just putting it out there, shade-wise, texture-wise, this comes so much closer to the original Charlotte Tilbury. I actually filmed a short with it, so I'll make sure to link that in the description box down below so you can see how they compare. But I've also featured this in my recent dupe video. I'm loving this. And the reason why I'm featuring this as a foundation is that unlike the Charlotte Tilbury, which on me is too sheer for it to really cover up any redness, but this, on a good skin day, it's the only thing I need. It's the only thing I need. When I use this, it's this and a little bit of concealer, and I'm out the door. So this is great for that no makeup kind of vibe. I have mine in shade 010 Fair Light, and I feel it's very similar to shade 2 in the Charlotte Tilbury. They're pretty bang on. I have been getting a lot of questions from people in the US asking when this is coming their way. I honestly do not know. I want to be more helpful than that, but I honestly cannot, because I have no information on this brand other than what I can buy in my region. And I know if you are willing to shell out the shipping and handling fees, there are websites that sell this that will ship it to the US for you. So if you're truly desperate, you could get your hands on this for sure. In the US, your best bet to buy anything Catrice is through the official Catrice website, so just keep an eye out on there to see when this drops, because this isn't available everywhere yet. So far, it's only been available in the European Union. In stores, they only stock 3 shades, but there are 8 or 9 shades, I believe, and most of them are available online. However, I've been keeping an eye out on this product, because I actually wanted to get a shade up in this. 015 I thought was going to be better for me, because it seemed to be a little bit more pink. This is a bit too yellow for me. It works. I can make it work. It's just fine. But that one I have not seen in stock anywhere. So the brand is really struggling keeping this thing in stock at the minute, even in countries where it is readily available, because it's been such a huge success for them. So yeah, the Soft Glam Filter Fluid is really nice if you can get your hands on it in a shade that you like. But a Catrice product that I know has now been released in the US is the new Drop Tinted Serum Foundation. And this was an instant hit for me. When this launched earlier in the year, I tried this and I was like, right, this is my new favorite Catrice foundation. This is on par with more high-end products for me. It is more of a skin tint in the way it applies, I feel. I feel that the word foundation here is a bit of a misnomer. It does have a very hydrating formula. It looks a little bit dewy on the skin, and it's very light coverage. Mine is in shade, I always forget, 004N, so this isn't even the lightest shade. It has a perfect neutral undertone. And I love this thing to pieces. I really cannot get enough of this one. And I think Catrice did a banger of a foundation with this one. I just wish more people were raving about it, but now that I think it's a little bit more widely available, I think this is going to get a little bit more hype again. And this next product also will not come as a surprise to my followers who watch almost every single one of my videos, because I have been raving about this little guy ever since I purchased it. It's the Hema Bay Shake Up Skin Tint in shade 1, Natural Tan. Hema is a Dutch makeup brand, so they do have stores abroad. I believe they have some, like they opened one in Dubai, I saw on their TikTok. So they are global, but I don't know whether, like how global they actually are. Over here, you find Hema in every single shopping street. It's like in every semi-large town, you will find a Hema. The way, like if you're in the US and you've never been to Hema before, think of it as Target. I feel that Hema is most comparable to US Target. It's not as big as in the US, but that's sort of the kind of lines they have. They have a bit of makeup, they have like clothing, they have like things to change attire, like they have a lot of things. And everything is name brand. So everything is the Hema name brand, like they all produce their own products. Like you cannot buy anything by another brand over there. My favorite other thing that's makeup related from Hema are their baby washcloths if you're ever in the Netherlands and you're looking for good muslin cloths. Let me tell you, the baby section from Hema is where it's at. It's what I use to clean my face every single night with a bit of cleanser. They're lovely. And this foundation thing is insane. I think it was only €6, but this has been going on sale on their website, I've seen. So I'm afraid they're discontinuing this, like that they're just trying to sell the stock they still have and then it's going to be gone. But I've been loving this. It looks really dark in the bottle. Like it looks like such a dark product. However, what I have found with this is that when you apply it, it shears out, and as it's shearing out, it lightens on the skin. So this looks like it's not going to be a match, but it definitely is. So this is why, you know, swatches or just looking at things in a bottle isn't always very helpful to you, because very often products just do something differently once they sit on your skin. Especially with base products, things could oxidize, things could look dry and cakey. It's why I always refer people to my full reviews, especially for base products. And I'll be referring you to this one as well. This was a very unexpected hit. I did not expect to like this as much as I do. You will have just seen me mention this product if you saw my my full face of Kiko that I did last Friday. But Kiko has now a glow version of this foundation out, but I still really enjoy the original as well. What am I talking about? The Insta Moisture foundation from Kiko. This is in shade 1R, which is a perfect match. It is one of the lightest shades though. But I believe this new glow version did come in a 1N as well. Like they seem to have some other shades that I haven't seen them do before. So good job, Kiko. It comes with a pump right there, and it is just a really good everyday foundation. Don't expect this to be like super long lasting. If you have oily skin, I don't think you'd like this. But for me, the Kiko Milano Insta Moisture was like an instant hit. The minute I tried it, it was like, yes, this is a great drugstore foundation. And one, like the thing it reminds me of most is something like a L'Oreal True Match, like the original L'Oreal True Match, and also something like the Bourjois Healthy Mix Serum Foundation, like what that used to do. I think those foundations are very comparable to this, but those could be a little bit difficult to find. I do feel that the True Match comes in a bunch of shades, so from a shade range perspective, I think the True Match is still one of the best ones. But I think formula-wise, I like this a little bit better. And Kiko always does lots of deals. So by now, I think if I were to buy a True Match foundation here, it's gonna be like €18. I think this retails for around 15, and Kiko very often does 25% off. So I know you can get a good deal on this one. And finally, this does sort of fall outside of the category of drugstore, but I know it is a drugstore brand in Finland. But I was smitten when I used the Lumine Natural Glow Foundation. I have mine in shade light. I picked this up very randomly because I had come to the conclusion that I hadn't tried that many drugstore foundations for a while. So I wanted to remedy that. So I made a point of trying a bunch of drugstore foundations. And I did a roundup review last, I think, February or March. And this was like my top favorite of everything I've tried. So it had to get a mention here. But this is quite expensive. I think it's like around the €25 mark where I've seen it. Then again, a lot of the websites where I can find it, mainly Notino and Lyko, sell a lot of drugstore products from different European countries that I would not be able to get my hands on otherwise. It's how I got to try Eveline Cosmetics, which is a Polish brand. And like I mentioned, Lumine is a Finnish brand. This is really stunning. It's incredibly glowy though. You have to like glow if you want to like this. This is again a little bit more leaning towards a light coverage foundation, possibly a skin tint as well. So it doesn't have a lot of coverage, but that's personally what I just really enjoy with my dry, dehydrated skin. I'm also in my late 30s, so that's why my preferences are for lightweight, dewy, nothing too matte, nothing too thick and cakey, because my skin just can't handle that. So the Lumine one is a really lovely one there too. And those were the 10 drugstore base products that I wanted to recommend to you in today's video. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video today. Thumbs up the video if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more by me. As I mentioned, we're currently doing drugstore week, so I have 3 more videos coming your way. And of course, we're going to be including some eyeshadow palettes here as well. So So I hope you have a great day, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye bye.